Rev up your engines!
Nick says, why does Scotty keep pushing Toyota? Why do his viewers believe everything he says? All right, I'm not pushing anything. Nobody pays me. I don't do paid advertising. I own a couple of Toyotas and a Lexus because I'm a mechanic. They don't break much. I own what? Japanese motorcycles because they don't break, so I don't have to work on them. Then you might say, Scotty, you're a liar. You got a Triumph. Yeah, I got a Triumph, but it was made in Thailand. It's really an Asian vehicle. It's got Japanese fuel injection, Japanese brakes, and it's made in Thailand. Now, nobody believes anything everybody says. I don't even believe everything anybody says. You always have to analyze things to see, is he telling the truth? Is he doing something correctly here? Is he just wrong about that? But I'll tell you, I learned from my mistakes. If I find out something that I said was wrong, I will correct it and I'll keep it in my head. Because remember one thing in life, you learn from your mistakes. Unless you're a fool, in which case you don't, and you go on living in a fool's paradise, right? But think of all the times you did something right. Do you remember all them? No. But think of the times you screwed up and made a big mistake. Guess what? It's imprinted on your brain. Don't do that again. And you learn a lesson. Hopefully you learn a lesson, unless you're the winner of Darwin Awards, in which case you wouldn't be around anymore and you really didn't learn anything at all. Everyone should learn from their mistakes, and no one's perfect. But, you strive towards sharing knowledge to things you know with other people, and I know things, so I share it with people. You're never going to see Scotty here saying, oh, Chryslers are the best vehicles in the world, blah, blah. No, they aren't. At presently, the Toyotas are the best. If somebody comes out with a better vehicle, I'll tell you the truth about it. If, and I mean if, electric cars ever became mainstream, then I would tell you which ones are good and which ones are bad by trying them out, seeing what my customers, kind of experience they had with them, and then tell the truth about it. And that's what I'm here for. Nick says, but if people want to buy a Mercedes-Benz, why does Scotty criticize them? Well, because I think it's a stupid mistake. Mercedes-Benz made great cars a long time ago in the 60s, 70s, but they started making them cheaper and cheaper. And if people keep buying poorly made vehicles that cost a lot of money, they'll continue to make them. Look at Musk. He keeps raising the price. He just raised them $6,000 again. He just raises them. If people keep buying them, he'll keep raising the price. It's like a guy at a poker table. I'll bluff him. Hey, the bluff worked. I'll keep bluffing until somebody calls my bluff. Somebody's dumb enough to buy the stuff. Now, you want to see why I criticize Mercedes-Benz. Watch the video. The guy last year brought me a car here, and it was a late model SUV that he paid almost $165,000 for. It was made in Alabama. It was a piece of junk. He hated it. That's why he brought it to me to make a video to show people how poorly made these things are. And I know people who work at Mercedes-Benz dealerships, and they tell you the same thing because they're mechanics. They're not salesmen. They're friends of mine who are mechanics, just like me, right? We tell the truth. They're like, oh, God, would anybody buy these pieces of crap? Like new guys who work at a Jaguar dealer, they'd laugh their rear ends off. These people keep buying these things. They fall apart, but we make money fixing them, so what the heck? But I don't go that way myself. I tell people, don't buy it. Now, if you do, I will criticize you because I say it's a stupid thing to do. You like throwing your money away? Go ahead. But it's bad for society because if people buy expensive crap and it falls apart, they'll continue to make expensive crap if you keep buying it. You stop buying it, they'll either improve or they'll go out of business. Kearney says, Scotty, I got a 2013 Chevy Malibu 4-cylinder with 132K. I only get 25 miles a gallon. Is that bad or could it be better? Depends where you're driving and how you drive. If you're driving in town, you're going to get worse gas mileage. The rating for in town is total BS on most of those things. The only way you can really tell your true gas mileage is go on a trip for like 100, 150 miles, go 60 miles an hour if that's the speed limit, fill it up before you get on a highway, and then fill it up when you get off the highway and see what kind of gas mileage you get. And then you know what your car's actually getting. Now, if it runs okay, it's probably normal for you. I got many customers with those get that kind of gas mileage because they drive a little faster. A lot of it has to do with if the car's running right and the filters are clean, the spark plugs are good, and your oil's clean, and you're getting 25 miles a gallon. Otherwise, it runs perfectly fine. It's probably just the way you're driving, that you're driving more stop-and-go traffic, and you're a faster driver than a normal driver. In the real world, it's always different than what they claim. Aiden says, there's a high-pitched whistle noise at highway speeds in my 2018 RAV4. Sounds like it's coming from the hinge area in the driver's side door. What could it be? If you've ever been in a wreck or anything, many times, the guys at the body shops are kind of lazy, and they don't put everything together right, or they leave pieces off. On the inside of your fender well, there's that plastic molding, right? If you get in a wreck or something that gets hit and cracked, a lot of times take it off, throw it away. Well, that stops wind noise. I had that happen to a car of mine, so what I did was I went in there, and I saw, well, it's missing, but I'm like, I don't want to go buy that stupid shield. It doesn't do that much except stop wind. So I got a big old floodlight, stuck it under there at night, and then opened the door and looked, and I could see where the cracks, where the wind were coming through. And I just got some polyurethane gray sealer, put it on. The next day it was dry, no more whistling. I couldn't stand it. It drove me nuts. Well, the noise is gone now because I found where the body guy didn't put the part on by using the spotlight at night in there. Into the door, see now there's the light coming through, sealant, and then the noise went away. Could also just be your door molding. If it's ripped, look, if the door molding's ripped where you close it, it's supposed to go against the body in the door. If it isn't, it'll whistle. Alonzo says, Scotty, you say diesels aren't convenient, but I've traveled the mountains. Gasoline engines struggle, lose power. What should I do? Can gasoline engines get improved or something? Well, I don't know what gasoline engines you're driving, but modern day cars, they're set up by computers for the barometric pressure, for how much oxygen is in the atmosphere. You go to higher altitudes, they readjust themselves. They should run perfectly fine. Diesels actually don't have as much power, but they have torque. So they can pull heavy weights and they can accelerate faster, but they actually have less horsepower than gasoline engines do. You must be having some real clunker gasoline cars if they can't make it up the hill. Little 1.8 liter Toyota goes up the Rocky Mountains, no problems at all. Goes up, down, has no problems, and it's an '07. But even that's modern enough that it can equilibrate for the different pressures. I don't know what gasoline cars you're driving. Now, on the other hand, most diesels these days have turbochargers. So, of course, a turbocharged vehicle is going to be able to climb because the turbocharger rams more air. So, if you look at any modern, late model, smaller car, they're almost all turbocharged cars for more power. And they would have no problems climbing up hills. Mike Jameson says, can you put AT205 in your gas tank? AT205 is a liquid polymer made by a company in Chicago, and they call the sealer AT205 Reseal. It rejuvenates rubber seals. It's good for almost all kinds of oils. You don't put them in gasoline. You can put it in power steering in most cars. Engine oil, transmission oil, rear end oil, gearbox oil, whatever. But you can't put it in like your radiator. You want, if you got a leaky rear main seal on your engine, you don't want to pull the engine out to replace it, you put that in clean oil, change the oil filter, put it in. I've seen it stop them leaking forever. And I tell people, look, it worked, right? And they said, yeah. I said, now just realize every time you change the oil and filter, add a bottle of AT205 because that'll keep it rejuvenated. If you don't, over time, it'll start leaking again. Leona Rivera says, Scotty, what's your opinion on ceramic engine treatment to reduce friction? Can it make your engine's life longer? When people say, I have a ceramic treatment, you pour it in the engine, blah, 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 blah. Most of that stuff doesn't do squat. You can actually have ceramic treatment done on the pistons or on the bores and the engine block, and that works. As a matter of fact, I just recently got a Yamaha FJR 1300 motorcycle, and that engine has ceramic treatment, and it goes like stink, doesn't burn oil. That can be done at the factory level, but just getting some ceramic treatment oil you pour in the engine, I've never seen any of those things do diddly squat. And ceramic is the new buzzword, that and nanotechnology. So a lot of it doesn't do anything. Well, Tesla's proven one thing, they just raised their prices across the board again as much as $6,000 per car, showing that old Elon has no interest in competing in the low-priced electric car market. He just wants to sell expensive ones. He's not going to be competing against the Chinese and Volkswagen making cheaper ones in Tennessee and selling them, even though originally he said he wanted to make cars for the world, electric cars for everyone. Well, everyone, I guess, means only everyone that's got a lot of money. Because they're getting more and more expensive as time goes on. And if you really look at it historically, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg, because the price of lithium in the last like 12 months has gone up like 900%. So they're going to get more and more expensive to build, and he doesn't want to mess around with the lower price ones. Jeff Winter says, hey Scotty, I hear they might go back to turbine cars that can run off different stuff, motor, jet fuel, vegetable, regular gas even. Yes, turbine engines can run on lots of stuff, but we'll never go to them for regular transportation because turbine engines are extremely inefficient. They go at higher RPMs, they use a ton of fuel, they waste a lot of it as heat energy, they're extremely inefficient. They put out a lot of power. I'll give you an example. My son was 101st Airborne. They're flying around the Chinooks, right? Those things are so big with their big turbine engine. They'd put them on ships. They'd ship them to parts of the world. Then they'd put together and fly them because they used up so much fuel. Turbine engines are gas hogs. Tremendous power, but they suck fuel like no tomorrow. That's why the military uses it. They want power. They don't give a crap about gas mileage. Our taxpayer dollars pay for it. So we won't be driving turbine cars ever because they're too inefficient. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.